Welcome everyone to another episode of Black Metal Legends. We have Seidemann of 1349, and as you guys know, 1349 is like my favorite band of all time. So it's really exciting to get another member. Well, we had Shalva who was in the band before, and now we've got Seidemann here. So really excited to talk to Seidemann here about all things 1349. He was also in Pantheon I. He's got his own project, Svart Lotus, and he's also in Mortem as well. So there's lots of experience that he's had in the music industry, and he's also primarily a bass player. And we haven't had a bass player yet on Black Metal Legends, and I'd really like to share some more light on bass playing in black metal. So, Seidemann, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, it's nice to be here.
I want to start off by asking. So let's start from like right from the beginning. What got you into playing bass, and what made you want to start being a musician?
Well, the thing was, my parents were, my parents were, they weren't musicians, but they were, like everyone else in the 60s and 70s, they had acoustic guitars and they sang. And my brother sings still. He sings beautifully, actually. I don't. And there was always an acoustic guitar and a piano, and for some reason an accordion, which was my lot in life at a young age. I do not wish to speak about that. But as it were, after the accordion and the piano lessons, I had around 35 years ago been hanging around in rehearsal rooms with my friends, the cool friends who were in bands. At one point in the rehearsal room, someone just, hey, Tor, pick up the bass. You can play the bass. And I was like, how do I play the bass? I just look at the guitarist and move your fingers around and see what happens. And that was the start of it. And I was terrible at it, of course, like everyone else who starts out. I was terrible at it, but I liked it. It felt good to play the bass. It appealed to something in me, the low frequent kind of rumbling shit. That felt nice. And we were kids. We were 11, 12, 13 at this time, so we were playing punk. We didn't know how to play anything else. We played punk. But after a while, I was like, I like the bass. The bass I can do. This is me. Because bass players could, be on the sideline and you fiddle with your own stuff. I was in a band for a while with 3 guitarists. So I think it took about a year before I actually heard myself playing anything, because there was just, 3 guitars turned up louder. So I was wondering what was going on in the back, but all this is, of course, childhood shit. It has very little to do with me kind of what came after, apart that it was a beginning. Because as we get closer to 1991, 92, I grew up in the 80s like a lot of other kids, so heavy metal was everywhere, luckily. So it was Iron Maiden, it was Judas Priest, it was, Halloween, it was all the 80s, big hair, squeaky voices, double kick drums, metal, of course. And my parents, of course, hated all that. They were listening to Beatles, Bob Marley, Pink Floyd, classical music, folk music, a lot of that. And I was in my basement listening to whatever I was listening to at the time, most likely Commodore 64 bleep music. And I had an older brother, and he got cassettes with, interesting covers like Iron Maiden. I saw the cover for Killers, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Based on the cover, I was going to listen to this. And, 70s rock, all this Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, all that stuff my older brother listened to. So I kind of just grabbed everything because I realized that I loved music. The genre was never really important. It was the fact that it was music. But as the kind of 80s made their way into the 90s, I discovered that there was other stuff out there. It wasn't just, there was big hair metal, but there was stranger stuff, more evil stuff. There was I became a death metal kid in the very late 80s. I discovered, hey, what the fuck, Morbid Angel? What is this? Obituary? How can they do that shit? I mean, Celtic Frost, all these things, kind of late 80s, early 90s, I started discovering that, and I was like, whoa, this is cool. But I can't remember if it's 92 or 93, because memory is, those times are a bit woozy. I got this black cassette with someone had written in, you know, it was tape trading, we were all, you know, we didn't have original stuff, we were kids, we had tapes. And it just said Burzum on it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Let's check it out. And I mean, I had no fucking clue what was going on. Those vocals. I mean, one thing was all the death metal shit that I understood. Hey, I can do this. It's just pushing. But Burzum, I was like, how the fuck does he do that? And I hated it. I was like, this is the worst shit I've ever heard, but I can't stop listening. So every day after school, I would come home and do my homework and put and listen to Burzum. Day after day after day, and I still can't do those vocals, but I started to kind of, there was something about the music that drew me in, and I had to do this. There was this feeling of home, that this is where I belong, somehow, in this weird, beautiful but very ugly music, very harsh, dissonant stuff. And I was like, this can be home. And luckily then I met the vocalist of 1349, who was back then a drummer. And we met at a friend's house who was a guitarist while we were watching Woodstock 93 or something ridiculous on TV. Some bullshit on MTV. And I think I was wearing a Sepultura t-shirt, and he was wearing something else, and we looked at each other like, yeah, here's people who know what's what. And for some reason we just kind of started jamming. I mean, he played drums and did vocals, and I played bass and guitar, and I couldn't play guitar back then, fuck no, but I could play bass, so we just did stuff. That was this first band, this Hofting I Myrkra, which did absolutely nothing at all. There's some demo tapes from a barn with us making noise and some cows in the background, but that tape will never see the light of day. But that was it. That was the seed. Because he kind of, we played together for a while. I was doing, back then also, I was doing shitloads of other bands. I was, you know, like every kid learning, you were doing cover songs with your friends. And just like Tjalve, I did a lot of grunge and, you know, stuff like that. I still really love Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, and some of that stuff. But yeah, we were playing lots of and learning stuff and playing stuff, and I hated learning other people's shit, which I think is why I play a lot of the stuff I do, because I was terrible at learning other people's shit. So I'm like, no, fuck this, I'm gonna play my own shit and let's see what happens. As it were, then Ravn moved to Oslo, the capital. He's a couple of years older than me, so he went there, and I was still at home and still in school, still doing weird fucking black metal demos without a drummer. So I just sat with a keyboard and just, you know, did drums like that, which sounded terrible, and tried to make as much music as I possibly could. And then as soon as I was done with school, I took 1 year in a different school learning folk music. Don't ask me why, but I did, and I'm happy I did it. But you know, I was 1 year in a music school learning folk music and jamming with shitloads of people I would never have met otherwise, including some weird guys from Hønefoss who introduced me to prog, proper 70s prog and all this weirdness that came after. So at one point I realized, hey, I can actually do complicated shit. How did that happen? But as soon as that was over, then I moved directly to Oslo, and at that time already, the Ravn was in a band with Tjalve. And if I remember correctly, Tjalve's girlfriend at the time, who was singing or screaming in this black metal band, and some guitarists, no bass player. So I stepped in there, and then very quickly after I moved to Oslo, then Ravn decided that I'm going to fire everyone except for Tjalve, and then he's going to bring in me, and then we're going to do 1349. He had kind of figured out the name, and okay, now it's 1349, and we had one more guitarist for the first demo, whose name eludes me at the moment, but he didn't last through the demo, so he was out. And then it was me, Ravn, and Tjalve for the second demo. And the thing about those early days is that we lived in the rehearsal room. I went to work, I went home, and I went straight to the rehearsal room, and we rehearsed. Because we were going to be, brutal. We're going to be better than everyone else. We're going to be the most crazy fucking black metal shit out there. So we lived in the rehearsal room, and then in the weekends, of course, we got shit-faced. And then we went back to the rehearsal room. And after, a year or so of that, we were like, okay, now things are picking up. Things are getting good. Now we should maybe we should do shows. Maybe we should, play live. And the drummer and Ravn was of course like, how am I going to do drums and sing at the same time? He wasn't so keen on that, so we were like, yeah, maybe we need another guitarist. So we did one thing at a time, and there was this drummer we tried at one point. He didn't really work out, but he had this buddy from the same village who was a good guitarist, so maybe we wanted to talk to him. And that was Archeon, and I met him at Elm Street, this pub in Oslo where all the metal people were hanging for a while. And we got along really well, and I was like, okay, come to the rehearsal room and show me what you got. And he had it and more. And then things started, kicking it up a notch, and we started to record a mini CD back in 2000, I think. At the time, we were sharing a rehearsal space with Satyricon. And Frost would always come to us in rehearsal and play the Hell riff, which was a riff from Hybrid Spears.
Oh, this one. I know. Hang on. Yeah.
The bass part is you play the guitar part because the bass part is harmony to the actual riff. So.
That's epic.
I stole that from you, Skål, who plays in Arcturus and Ulver and all that stuff.
That's a really, really cool writing technique as well. Like you've got because that's the thing with the bass. So just moving on a music theory and writing standpoint. Because when you've got a guitar, and the guitar player's playing an E's, then C's and E flats. Like normally a bass player will just play the root notes, but I love that you're playing the fifths as well, and that way it just makes the bass sing a bit more because it's just in that higher register, but it still works. That's brilliant. I love that. I had no idea.
I had a 4-string at the time. Back in those days, I was still playing this Warwick Thumb 4-string. I played that until and including Beyond the Apocalypse was recorded with that. After that, it was the Vampire 5-string. But that riff, anyways, that was the Hell riff, as Frost used to say, and he really loved that. So at some point, we just asked, hey, would you be interested in just doing the drums for the demo? Because things are escalating, and Raven wasn't sure if he could keep up with it. So yeah, he said yes, and then that happened, and we don't. I think Tjalve kind of covered most of this history anyway, so I don't have to repeat all that. But suddenly there's this point in my life where I'm playing with musicians that are ridiculously much better than me. And I realized that, okay, it's either shape up or shape out. There's no, when you have Archaeon on one hand and you have Frost there, and then, okay, now time to bring in the A game. And we were still, living in the rehearsal room, of course, rehearsing shitloads, and it was this very creative time where we all, brought riffs, and we all wanted to, do proper black metal and do it as extreme as possible and kind of push each other up and over the edge and beyond the apocalypse, yes, and then eventually Hellfire. And I think at some point you were asking Tjalve about the Hellfire guitar sound.
Yes. Yes.
And that's a PV Triple X that I have in my basement somewhere.
All right.
Through my Ampeg 410 with a tweeter. So that's a guitar head driven through a bass amp.
For the Hellfire guitar tone.
Yes.
Oh, that's gang shit. Yeah, hell yeah. That's awesome. So triple X with a, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, I had this 4x10 or 4x12 cabinet with a tweeter, and we drove first we tried driving through my 18-inch sub, but that didn't do anything, but then through the tweeter it had this Hellfire sound. So that's that. We get a bit ahead of ourselves, I guess, but yeah, that's I was always a bit shitty with amps. I mean, I had an Ampeg, and I still have an Ampeg somewhere, but yeah, have you ever lugged 8x10 Ampeg Classic through through Europe for an extended period of time? You don't want to do that for a very long time. So we were blessed, I would say blessed, that Celtic Frost brought us on their US tour back in 2006, first time we went there. And I mean, that's a fucking honor right there, and I'm super grateful for that, but also Mortem, the bass player, he took me aside like, buddy, you can do things the really hard way for yourself, but this is a Sans amp, and the Sans amp will be your friend, and the sound guys will love you. So I went to Guitar Center and I bought one, and yeah, no, that stayed with me until a couple of years ago, and I discovered dark glass, and then I realized that, okay, this is again the kind of pro level shit. But back then, we're talking, Hellfire early 1349 days, it was my Warwick thumb straight into yellow Boss OD pedal, I think. No, wait, actually for Liberation.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my bass straight into the mixing table. There's nothing. I didn't use distortion. If we were ever going to remaster Liberation, we would put fuzz on the end of Satanic Propaganda, where it's just the bass.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would put distortion there. Otherwise, that album's perfect and it doesn't need anything else. But that would have been great. But after that, I got Big Muff, this very doom metal pedal for the bass, and I used that until I got the Sans amp, and then things kind of snowballed, and now I'm lazy and I just have a pedal board with a dark glass, and that's all I'll ever need for live playing. But yeah, I think I got lost in gear there for a while, but we can try to cycle back to wherever the fuck we were. Early days of 1349. And you just have to stop me if I ramble and
No, it's brilliant.
steer me into the right direction.
No, it's all good. Because there's a few points that I wanted to mention in there that are really, really important, I think, for a lot of people. And it's when you were saying you were playing with a whole bunch with a lot of musicians, a lot of different musicians as well. Because it's kind of similar to my story, and the way I got more into music is because, I was just a kid and my friend played guitar, and I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. Let me try as well. And I'd always wanted to like learn guitar at some point. So I was like, okay, cool. I like music. I started learning guitar, and then you just play guitar, and then you meet other musician friends. You start playing with them, and then it just kind of snowballs. And then exactly like how you did, just played covers, played other people's songs, and it got to a point where I couldn't play some band songs or whatever. And then you keep on learning more songs and keep on playing with people. And then your playing just slowly starts escalating. And then you get to a point where you realize you're playing more difficult songs. And then you realize your playing goes a bit higher like this. And then exactly like how you said before, when you meet some really, really good musicians and you start playing with them, it's kind of like you've got to up your fucking game like properly, because it's so difficult to keep up, and it's so difficult to play. But the it's the sad thing now, I think, in the modern age of guitar players and writing now, is that it's becoming a lot more. 'Cause the thing is, it's easier for people to write by themselves now and do things at home, because if we take this laptop I'm using, for example, I've got Logic, which has got inbuilt drum kits. I've got like a bass guitar here. I've got a guitar here. I've got an interface and an amp, so I can make songs, just by myself. And of course that's fine, but I find more nowadays that I want to write with more people and work with more people in projects, because it's so much more fun, and you can share more ideas, and you can push people can push each other to try and take it up to that next level. And that's one of the best things about 1349, and one of the reasons why I think I'm drawn to the band so much is because there's always that sense of like, no, we've got to do this better, do this better, do this better, do this better, more, and it's this kind of like, it's almost like a really aggressive self-development journey in a black metal way. Like, it's always about trying to push things to the next level.
Yeah.
And I love that, because you get the things that make the difference are things that are different. And it sounds like really obvious, but it's like people need to like try and do something in a different way for a different result, of course. And that's what I love about 1349. It's just its own take on black metal that has all of it has all of the cool Slayer and 80s style of riffs in the writing. Like if we take Dodscamp, for example, that's almost got almost like a Jimi Hendrix style of intro, almost like a Van Halen kind of thing. Just kind of like it
It
just
has the glam rock trappings that our guitarist also loves very much. Yes, there's quite a bit of all that, but it's all good.
yeah.
The
And
thing is, I think this is a right moment to interject something about this very common misconception, it seems, for me as an outsider looking at music today.
hmm,
I mean, 1349 were, of course, and still are to a certain degree, traditionalists, if you can call it that. Um, that we wanted black metal to sound a certain way and all that shit. However, we did not want to sound exactly like Dark Throne around Transylvanian Hunger, because that's Dark Throne. The beauty of the early 90s black metal bands is that they are all black metal, undoubtedly. However, they don't sound alike. They all have identities.
yes.
That's what when I listen to a lot of stuff. Of course, let's be honest, the tape trading days are gone, and the internet is kind of a swamp, so I don't get to hear as much as I would like to, even though I'm sure there is good stuff out there. You just have to wade through.
Hmm.
A lot of stuff I get presented is technically adept. Usually, I mean, the levels, the skill levels, I mean, 12-year-olds are doing, gravity blasts and all that shit. I'm like, yeah, you guys are way out there, but the identity is, I can take this moment to with Svart Lotus, where I play the guitar and I occasionally make vocal noise, a lot of people have, through the time that band has existed, come to me like, but this does not sound like 1349 at all. I'm like, no, it sounds like Svart Lotus, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Like, yeah, that's the point. I already have a band that sounds like 1349, so why the fuck would I want another one? I mean, identity, that's the key to proper black metal or proper music of any sort, is that it has a voice of its own, it has something that kind of resonates with something in you, and there's stuff out there that I hear where I think that you are competent, but I don't feel you. And when I don't feel you, I lose interest very, 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 very quickly. But yeah, that was the tangent again, and I'm sorry. Back to you.
No, I agree. I agree entirely because it's very easy for a person who's new to music or yeah, new to anything, and then they find their their idol or their icon, and they kind of gravitate towards that, like admittedly. So this is a Dean V Razorback, and one of the reasons why I got this is because I was a 16-year-old kid who saw 1349 at the Underworld in like October or November in 2011. And
Hey.
Archeon had his black
Yeah, he had the
Razorback, yeah, black Razorback with the EMGs, and that is still the most that's the one of the most life-changing experiences of my life. Like that was like, holy shit, like this is how fucking good I need to be and how good my band needs to be. That really set like a super high bar. And then I kind of gravitated to this to this kind of like 1349 worship because, you know, I got the guitar, I got the sound, you know, I wanted to try and I wanted the revelations of the Black Flame guitar tone and the Demon Noir sound, and I wanted to play like Archeon. But then I realized it's like, okay, I can do all of this, but I'm never gonna sound like Archeon. I'm never gonna sound like 1349. Even if I learn all the songs and work out all they are, you know, the way Shalva and Archeon and you and Raven and Frost and how everyone writes is always going to be different to me. And then when I realized that, that's when I was like, okay, I shouldn't. Okay, I can be inspired by people, but I shouldn't. But I'm never going to be able to play like them. I could like technically, yeah, I can play, you know, or you can get yourself to that kind of standard. But when it comes to like your own art, it needs to be exactly like you said. It has to have that identity, and it has to have like that real piece of your heart in the music. And that's the thing that really stuck out. And exactly like you said, all of the early black metal stuff is so iconic. You know, all of the early stuff has its own sound. You know, Burzum had its own sound, Thorns, and
yeah.
that's what made everything special. Enslaved, Emperor, everyone had their own sound, and I think that's so important now. Trying to get that piece of you into the music rather than you trying to sound like your favorite band, because it's so easy to do that. It's so easy to it's so easy for like a Slayer fan to be like, yeah, I want to sound like Slayer. And it's easy for a 16-year-old Dev Gohil to be like, hey, I want to be 1349 for fuck's sake. But I realized like it's not going to happen. I'm always going to be me, and I'm always going to be different to them. So I've got to try and embrace that and make my own music more of myself rather than, you know, the 1349 stuff, I guess. But it's a really important point.
Yeah, no, but it's I mean, we all have idols. I spent a lot of time as a kid because I was in love with Primus, so I did this, all that shit. But then I was like, so where the fuck am I gonna use that?
Yeah.
Where am I gonna do the funk slap little shit? And then I just stopped because I realized I can maybe practice up to a level where I am less Claypool-ish. But I am not Les Claypool, and I will never I will just be a bleak copy. And it's maybe more interesting for me to know what is Seidemann, what's inside this head, what can I bring out to the world. And of course, also my father had this sayings. He was a man of sayings. He had a lot of sayings, always, for some reason. And he says, there's a billion people out there playing this, and many of them are better than you, a lot of them are probably worse than you, but you are the only one that plays exactly like you. And this is a very pedagogical teacher-parent thing to say, so of course he said that. But it's also unfortunately true. And unless you kind of sit down and think, but what do I want to express and what is in here, then you're always going to be this copy of someone else, and I mean, for many, that's great. I mean, a lot of very talented musicians I know, they have jobs, and then at weekends they have, their Toto cover band or Led Zeppelin cover band, where they do a very, very good rendition of someone else's shit. They have perfected it, so they, and that's fantastic. But for me, it's always, but I don't want to be a copy machine. I want to create something own that's 20, 30, 40 years down the line. Some idiot is going to be like, I want to play those songs. Hey guys, let's get to rehearsal room and crank out some 1349 tunes, right? I don't see that happening really, but who knows? The future is in a weird place.
Yeah, see, I'm one of those like hyper fans that would actually do that. Like, if I could find like a few people who would actually want to cover 1349 songs, I'd be down for that shit. Like, I'm one of those guys, man. But
right, good to know.
Yeah, but at the same time, one thing that you mentioned, which was one thing that really stood out to me, which was you didn't want to play other people's songs, and I found that I got to that point as well. It was like, all right, I'm learning all these songs, but what about like my own songs? And then it was kind of like that made me like there was a time where I didn't like practice guitar and only wrote music for about like 5 or 6 years, because that was the only thing that I really wanted to do. With my bands at the time, I wrote like loads and loads of songs, but then I think songwriting is such an important skill as well as the playing, because it's hard, because a song is, you can say a song is a collection of riffs, but it's more a case of like a journey and a story. It's very easy for a song to be one-dimensional, and in some ways it works. But what I love in music as well is like all the twists and turns. People say it's progressive, but I don't know if I entirely agree with that. I think a journey is a better way of describing it. And because I don't know, progressive seems like one of those like pseudo terms in a way, because it's kind of like, what does progressive actually mean sometimes? Like, does it mean like you're playing in some odd time signatures, or you're just doing something a bit differently, or is it just because someone's writing in a different way? I don't know. When people say something is progressive, I always never really understood what that meant. I
get that. I understand. I understand what you're saying, and I think a lot of. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Rush and Yes and Gentle Giant and all the 70s stuff as much as the next guy, and probably more. But a lot of the newer progressive stuff I hear, it's a bit like 4 guys on the stage playing different songs, and I'm wondering where's the song? Where is the song in all those scales and these odd time signatures? I mean, again, amazing musicianship, amazing, but I'm like, but where's the song? Where's the feeling? Where's the emotion? I mean, this also sounds weird when I say it out loud, but I'm going to say it anyways. Black metal is usually very emotional. 1349, of course, not emotional in baby, I'm going to put on some lovely songs for you here. Here's yeah, Liberation, for instance, or whatever. It's not that kind of thing, but Liberation is five guys on the edge and slightly over the edge of their abilities, doing the best they can to put something crazy on tape. And tape being the operative word, since Frost never, records digital, so it's tape. So yeah, those are the tape days. So the feeling has to be there, the spirit has to be there. It's also again very weird to talk about spirituality in the black metal context, or maybe not. But 1349 has always been this greater than the sum of its parts. 1349 has a lot of chaos, magic, Kabbalah. There's very occult shit going on there. But on stage, we all transform and we become 1349 and we become a force. We often talk about the band spirit, because a lot of the times we go in the studio and we don't exactly know what's going to happen, but we know that whatever's coming out at the other end is going to be extreme. Mm-hmm. And we, of course, are incapable of doing things, the easy way, so it's always the hardest way possible. And yeah, but the results are, if I can be this blunt with, the results are undeniable. No one out there tells me that, 1349, you guys sound exactly like blah blah blah. No, it's you guys sound like 1349, and there's no two ways about it. Because there is this spirit, this kind of identity there that's undeniable, and I take pride in that, of course. But my pride is kind of irrelevant here, because this happens. We are kind of vehicles for this chaos to manifest, if you can be pompous about it.
Yeah, and it makes sense entirely, and I'll say that's entirely right. Like black metal is a very, very emotional genre. It's see, like all music is emotional, but I think black metal gets into that part of the mind, like exactly you said, like video games and like a fantasy world. Like it kind of takes you into a completely different place as opposed to like death or thrash metal, and I guess in some ways that can make things a bit more, in a way, introverted, but in the kind of black metal way. And it's just, I think that's the biggest difference between black and death metal, is the way where the music takes you. Because if we take like Altars of Madness, for example, that's more kind of like a party, hang out with your friends, get drunk, mosh pit, have a good time kind of music. But then if we take let's take Demon Noir for example. Now Demon Noir is Demon Noir is my favorite black metal album, and one of the reasons why it is because that was the first black metal album I didn't buy it. It was actually a present from my mum, because the story is that I went to HMV when I was like, how old was I? 14, 15? 14, I think I was 15 at the time. And I just got into 1349, like I watched a Sculpture of Flesh music video, listened to a few songs of Hellfire, and I was like, hey mum, there's this cool band, look, it's only 10 quid, can you buy it for me? She was like, all right then. And I listened to Demon Noir, and it didn't click with me for the first time, but I did know a few things, like I was furious, and it's a force, and there's some crazy guitar work going on in there. And then over the year, I was listening to a few other bands as well. Then I got back to Demon Noir and I listened to it again. Then everything connected. And that album, for me, has, I think, it sounds kind of like silly in a way to say sometimes, but for me anyway, that's the album that kind of encapsulates everything that's great about black metal, because it has everything that past and modern black metal has. That's what I think anyway, because just a few years after Demon Noir came out, there was all of these bands doing like the dissonant thing. And then if we go to Pandemonium Warbells, for example, you had this riff.
I wrote that actually. That's one of mine. I think that's my only riff on that one.
That is, see, that riff, yeah, that's such a statement to start a song. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my only riff for that album.
Oh, that is like I remember when you guys played that live, and something clicked in me then. Like it really, really did like click in me. I was like, this is like some of the most like freaky shit that I've ever heard, but I love it. But yeah, like going back to like some of the writing on Demon Noir, because you've got all of these. Well, you've got Psalm 777, which is like a proper fist bumpy party song. Then you've got Pandemonium Warbells, which is fucking ballistic. I don't know, man. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of. Okay, here's a silly thing. So I don't know if you've watched that anime Evangelion. Do you know of it?
I know of it. I have never watched it.
Right. Because there's a scene at the end of the movie, and spoilers if anyone hasn't watched it yet. But basically, like everyone in the world turns into like liquid. And that is and Pandemonium Warbells has that kind of effect. It's like the world is exploding and you're kind of like melting and you don't know what's going on. And then but even it's like back to the emotional part as well, because you've even got like Hellfire, for example, like that first riff, like
Oh
like
yeah.
it's it's really kind of sad in a way. Like it's kind of like it's so gloomy, but it's so grim at the same time. And but then you've got the ending, which is really, really triumphant in that song as well. Uh,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
Frost wrote the ending action riff. Tjalve wrote the first riff, and I wrote the middle riff, and then that was it. There's only three riffs in that song.
but it works so well because it's because every riff in there has an emotion behind it. Because that first riff is almost like someone sinking. Like the first two chords is like sinking, then it's rising, sinking, rising, rising, dun, 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 then sink again. And I think that's just really great songwriting because you're taking someone on that journey with emotions in a way. And then you've got your riff, the dun, 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 dun. So you got like happy, sadder, sadder, and then it gets a little bit happier, like you're kind of like clinging on.
Yeah, and I do the fifth bass line again. That I play the fifths of the root chord. All through the
Yeah,
riff also.
because that's one thing I wanted to ask. Because because what I heard in the recording is when you're playing the over these chords, you're going um, yeah, I think you're just playing like the C to the B. Am I right? Or
Yeah, I do that for the. Actually, for a bet, that whole album I recorded with three fingers. I can't do that shit anymore, and that song was painful to do. For 13 minutes, 49 seconds, that kind of killed my fingers, but but I still did it.
so were all of the songs on Hellfire recorded in one take, or at least tried to do it in one take? Because that's
I only had one day to do the bass. I usually only have had 1 day to do the bass for all of those albums up until. Let me think. Infernal Pathway. I think I had more. No, wait. Massive Cauldron of Chaos.
right.
I had 2 days.
No way. So all of the bass
Rain Attack on the second day, one of the worst songs. Massive Cauldron of Chaos. That song. I woke up. My boss from my work was calling me, and I was in the studio. I'm in the studio, can't talk. And I had this crushing migraine, and I had been saving Massive War of Chaos because it has a lot of these crazy parts.
Yep.
And I remembered I suffered through that whole fucking song, I think, with 13 takes. And then Jared looks at me and he's like, yeah, we have a take, but I don't believe it. Delete. And I was so fucking pissed that I played the whole song through in one take, and there's this slide somewhere in there. And I was so fucking pissed that just happened before this.
Oh, there we go. It's the Archaeon Storm style of playing because
It is. This, fast. Terrible fast picking shit. All of that album, it was a pain. The Mortem was also such a pain. When I was Flesh, the fucking chorus. That song that was made very late in the process, so I came to the studio and Archaeon was not there. And then there was that riff, and I was like, what the actual fuck is going on there? Yeah, no, that was such a pain. But I made it through, and we played it live afterwards. But yeah, I love that song. It's a great song to play, but it was such a pain in the studio to.
Oh, I could
To
imagine.
figure out, and I mean that's the beauty and the curse of Archaeon, is that he writes like absolutely no one else, and he plays like absolutely no one else.
I remember, so Charlotte and I, we covered the whole of, we did a playthrough of the whole of Liberation
Right?
on the channel, and I remember before we started like tracking the final songs, because after our chat for Black Metal Legends, he was like, "Hey, I remember the I Breathe Spears riff." I was like, "Cool, I've been struggling with that for ages," and then he goes. And I was just like,
Yeah, that's.
and then when he does all like the hammer-ons and stuff, and it's just like, this is the best thing in the world.
Yeah, no, that was the song that the Frost were kind of like was really into whenever he heard us play was I Breathe Spears. He even wrote the lyrics for that one.
Wicked.
Yeah, no,
And then there was also Evil Oath was another Archaeon song as well. Like
yeah, that one. Yeah, this
and then
doesn't count.
I haven't played those songs properly for a month, but it's just that
Yeah.
dancing around the fretboard, and it's so distinct.
Archaeon is kind of his own level in a way. With Tjalve, I have been in many bands with Tjalve because he and I, we the same when Rav was playing, we kind of got each other, so we kind of knew when it was time to do. We could jam
Yeah.
forever and ever and ever, and Tjalve knows how to make these very open riffs. So like, okay, now the bass can, because between Frost and Archaeon there is playing bass in 1349 is an exercise in restraint. Because yeah, sure, I could do the spastic stuff. I could try to origin it, but yeah, no, I don't think that would sound. It wouldn't be right. And the monoir is funny that you mentioned the monoir, because at the time when Ida was presenting that to us, Archeon, presenting that to us, we were like, this is a death metal album. What the fuck are you doing? And then, of course, we, as time went by, we were like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna make it a 3049 album. We were like, what the fuck is this death metal shit? Times change. Times change quickly.
Yeah. No, I think it's I love it, man. I love it, and because that was one of the questions that I was going to ask you is like the approach to bass playing in 1349 because how because I was like here's the question that I had written down was how does the speed of 1349 affect the bass playing? But I think you've kind of answered that in a way because yeah, you could like follow exactly what Archaon's doing and try and, as you say, origin it, go for that complete like tech death style of bass playing. But I think as well having this level of like solidarity as well, I think can really help as well because then if you're because with all like the tech death style of playing, if one person is like slightly out of time, it can kind of take away from the
It gets wobbly, it doesn't become tight and impressive. And the thing also, I mean, on Liberation, I was young. I was 23 when we recorded that, so I was see how fast I can play, and I played everything the guitars did and more, and it was ridiculous. But that's how it was, and I kind of gradually realized that sometimes it's heavier and it has a better feeling if you just, pump those root notes and you do small movements there. As I kind of started to understand more about harmony. Because Tjalve in 3049 in general, he's extremely good with harmonies and with this melodic stuff, always in Pantheon Eye, in all the bands. He has always had this amazing harmony stuff popping up. And with him kind of gone from 1349, then I realized that someone has to hold back a bit and kind of make sure that there's still this heaviness and this to a certain degree feeling there, because we could very quickly end up as some sort of black metal version of Origin if we don't kind of rein it in at some point. And I mean, Origin is fantastic. I wish I would be that good, and they are amazing dudes. We toured with them in the US, and it was picking my jaw up from the floor every night watching those guys do whatever the fuck they do. And I was like, I wish I had that much time, and I wish I was that good, but that wasn't for me. So with 1341, I'm also going to show you a scale you probably know, but
yeah.
But it's the most important scale for understanding 1349 bass playing.
Yeah.
Yep, that guy. Yeah, that sums up 90% of what I'm doing when I'm not doing. And it's actually that's in Atomic Chapel somewhere, I think. There's also some insane riffs there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. It's yeah. Yeah, all of that.
That shit is.
Yeah.
That's one of those.
You know what? That's actually one thing I was going to ask about Svart Lotus. Actually, is like, why is it that you use the harmonic minor scale so much in your riffs? It's especially in like that first Svart Lotus album because there's so much like harmonic minor movements
Yeah,
going on in there. Like especially was it the first song on the first album? That's the one. That's it. Yeah.
yeah, that's the stemmer fra dypet, voices from the. I mean, with Svart Lotus, I use for some reason 8-string guitars.
Mhm.
I used Kemper amps for since 2015 because I'm lazy and I don't want to dial in shit, so I used the Kemper until I got a Quad Cortex,
Mhm.
and after that I never looked back. That shit's the bomb.
Nice.
Yeah, but I can't really say why I love the melodic harmonic minor so much, but it's there in my brain somewhere. There's always a lot of the riffs happen around this. I think it's part of this my folk music training that this um, I don't know if it's correct anymore. They call them Arab minors when I was
Hmm.
minor scales. I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah. Phrygian dominant. Yeah. 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 That's the one. Yeah.
And I love the half step things, kind of, they go well with something inside me.
Hmm.
And the trills,
Yeah.
that's a very Norwegian folk music thing, has a lot of these trills. On the last Svart Lotus album, there's this
Yeah.
lurking fear. And I worked at a music school for some time, and there was this, my colleague played this fiddle, traditional Norwegian Hardanger fiddle, which has a lot of extra strings that can just resonate. And it was called a troll instrument back in the days. And the Christians banned it, of course, like they do everything that's fun. And he was playing this kind of very traditional slot, which is a dancing song. And that's kind of cool. And then and I came home like, what would that be if it was metal? And maybe something like that. And so on and so forth. You
Yeah.
know, I because Svart Lotus again is me doing something else than being fast and aggressive and evil. Of course, that happens too. Because ultimately Svart Lotus is about me playing whatever the fuck I want to play. But I have 3049 for all my fast, aggressive, crazy needs. So it's I don't want to do the same thing many places. So there's this sadness in a way in Mortem, for instance, and a lot of the early black metal that is melodic, folk influenced definitely, and has this sadness, and then of course the minor scale comes, and also I mean for dramatic effect the switching from minor to major to minor, and
Mm.
like first EP there's this.
Mm.
I mean, fifth, then major. Hello, it's major coming to beat you up. So it's a bit. It's about. I guess you don't really see too much of the fretboard or anything, but let me know and I'll of course.
Mm. No, because that reminds me of something from carving on the I think it's carving, but the third song on the album that you're playing before, it's the like you play this.
Oh yeah, because I played the.
Oh, you slide. Cool.
And then after the fourth time I switched to fifth, so a bit of the minor again, no. Yeah, something like that.
Going back to what we were talking about with like bass, um, how does the speed of 1349 affect bass in the mix when you're mixing?
Well, the thing is, if you try to play super fast, particularly on the low B, which I'm sometimes stupid enough to do, then you get the.
Hmm.
So that's also part of the reason why I started. I have the dark glass, but I also have clean DI before it, so I send the clean signal out and then I distort everything through so you can blend a bit. But I also at some point realized that maybe I should, even though I like playing fast, I can half time it or play eights when they are playing 16ths, so it's still fast, but it's still heavy.
Hmm.
If everyone goes 16ths, you get the. I mean, like everyone who has a computer and has access to drum programming, at some point you try to program drums as fast as you can fucking do. I tried 666 BPM, and after a while I was like, okay, but now it's just notes. It's just that was the bass drums. So, and the same principle applies to the bass. So I try to kind of for effects, I can kind of really speed it up in parts, but most of the time I try to kind of keep it so it's heavy and not just kind of random rumbling. It has to be heavy and has to move air. And of course, live with 1349, particularly since we only have one guitarist, I occasionally switch to chording and do a bit more this second guitar style, which is weird because, to be bluntly honest, apart from the acoustic fiddling at home, I never was practicing guitar much until 2012 when I came back here and I started thinking about doing Svart Lotus. Before that, I was a bass player and I still am a bass player. But kind of really getting myself a good guitar and sitting, okay, now I'm gonna figure out this thing. Yeah, no, that was never in my mind really. I played guitar in some band with Tjalf back in 2001 maybe. I have never broken so many strings in one song as I did in that show. So I think I broke 3 strings on the guitar first song, so I was like, yeah, no, this is hopeless.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get you, because you know, like I have played bass live in the past, and there's a sort of level of relaxation to it, and I don't know how to articulate it properly because it's not a thing that I've done very much, but there's a chance where you can just kind of just relax a bit more, because in some ways there's less to go wrong, but if you do something wrong, it's kind of a bit more noticeable in a way. And the cool thing about the bass guitar is that you can just literally just hammer the crap out of it, and it's still fine. And that's a really cool thing that you mentioned, switching from eighths to 16th notes as well in your writing, because in the in the black metal bass lessons and the way I play and record bass now, it's like I'm never playing the bass with like full 16th notes all the time. It's it's eighth notes, and the reason it's just for that extra level of clarity.
Hmm.
Because it's exactly like you said, you don't want that like flubbiness, and it takes away too much.
Hmm.
Because more is more, but less is more as well. And it's hard to articulate, but it's one of those things that everything needs to be more in a certain aspect, or less in a certain aspect as well. And well, here's one way of kind of thinking about it. It's like if we take, for example, I don't know, Smoke on the Water, for example. you know, da 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 da, you know, only a few chords, but instantly it's got everyone kind of like grooving to it and able to remember it because it's just that it's a lot easier for people to not only access, but it's like easier for something to be like catchy if something is less, and or even let's take
Yeah, the bass doesn't play that riff, as I guess you're aware of.
yeah, yeah, of course, but it's the you know, it's the principle of like less is more sometimes. It's like the all right, here's a bass moment. It's that bit in Freezing Moon, you know, bum 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 bum. One of the most iconic moments in the song, and it's just two notes. But then sometimes like less is more, and sometimes using less in a more situation, i.e., hyper blast moment, Archaon, and then if you go, then it's kind of works. Like, yes, I remember. So chasing dragons.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah, and
and then you come along and they just go e. Yeah, the whole.
I have to actually remember how to play that slow. That was an ABBA moment. I don't know slow. Yeah, that sounds right. Yep,
Yeah,
that's how it goes because originally it was so, but Frost dropped the first two notes, so we had to get in and I had to relearn it. So that's
oh, yeah.
yeah, that's a tricky one. Have
Yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah. That's got a cool riff, that song.
yeah, of course it's easy. Yeah. That song is actually the reason why I got a five string.
Yeah?
Because so much of that song happens. Oh, let's go down to C, let's go down to B, and I was like, let's go up to C, let's go up to B. No, let's go down.
I see. Yeah, gotcha. But I really like the fact that there is five string in 1349 bass, and it just gives you that extra breathing room as well, and you can use the lower notes a bit more as well, and you can kind of keep everything in position in a way. Because I remember watching the one of the teasers for Massive Cauldron of Chaos. It's the riff for Change.
So,
Yeah, and yeah.
yeah, that's a good riff actually. Yeah.
That's a great riff. And then when it breaks down, it's all boom.
We
That's
play, I think, I was Eon again.
oh God, yes, I was yeah,
Because it's cooler if you do the stabs on the.
oh yeah, yeah,
So you have to really can really dig in, but it's a bit of a jump.
yeah. Me and my friend we covered Awase on the channel, man, and it's just as a it's just so much groove in that song.
There's also a bit of octave displacement on the bass line.
That's so cool.
Usually I have these tricks to remember how many times something goes. Is you play, Arcane does this a lot, that he plays every second time different. Or if you're really lucky, he plays every time different, so you have no idea of knowing which time. So then usually I put in an octave displacement or something, a harmony somewhere on the second round, so I know that okay, now it's the second round, and I just repeat this now 2 more times and I'm safe.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, man, cheating. Remember?
No, that's great, man. Like that's such a cool idea. I've never thought of it like that because I've always kind of followed that kind of A B ending kind of thing where you've got one part of the riff and you've got a B ending and you come back to it and then you sometimes got like a fourth time ending. So A B A C style of songwriting as well. But yeah, like back to AOSA on man, like some of the
Yeah, we were kids. We were crazy kids.
Oh, dude, it's the best. It's the best. Like 1349 always has a special place in my heart, and nothing else kind of hits the same way. And yeah, man, there's so much cool stuff in there. And one oh yeah, so one thing I wanted to ask you is like with playing bass and writing, how did it differ in 1349 and Pantheon I? Because I remember you saying like Shalva gives you like a little bit more space to play with the bass, and yeah, I just wanted to just hear it in your own words, like the difference in like writing style for each band.
Oh, Pantheon I, we were also again in the early days. We were, I mean, there was this precursor band to Pantheon I, and I try to remember the name. Was it Into Oblivion or Internal Oblivion? Which was Tjalve, of course. Hearing this, Sagstad was, no, he was gonna do the guitars, but I don't think he played on the demo, and it was Renton from, well, early Pantheon I and Trollfest and everything. That kid's a fucking genius, Renton. He is amazing. His brain is next level shit. But yeah, and a vocalist whose name eludes me again. He was not a metal guy. He had, you know, he did clean vocals, and Tjalve did the green vocals on that demo. And that was recorded one evening in 1999, I think. I can't remember much, but I remember we did that demo, and there it went. And then nothing happened, and then André and Sagstad and Renton did start a Pantheon I with the first demo and everything. They came to my house and they borrowed the thumb bass to record the bass. And then after a while they asked me to audition or something funny. And I showed up unprepared and I did a terrible job, so they didn't ask me back. And I was like, yeah, well, whatever. I was probably drunk at the time, I don't remember. And then they had suddenly got a show. And André called me, Tjalve called me again. And he was like, Tor, maybe if you, maybe you bring your A game this time around and not, you know, stupid shit, then this could work. And I did. And a couple of albums later, yeah. No, but with Pantheon I, it was anything goes sort of. There was a lot of aggression, but there was this symphonic element, particularly with the string sections. And I did upright bass on some parts. Because I could, because I had an upright with the bow and everything. There's upright on the Monoir also, actually. On the Monoir, the actual song, I have double stuff with the upright bass. I don't know if you really hear it in the mix, but it's there. But Pantheon I, there was it was busy. There's a lot of me trying to steal the show. That's in retrospect maybe not the best stuff out there, but there was so much kind of melodic room in a way between the cello and the guitars that I got a bit this okay, let's see. I kind of disconnected a bit from the guitars and went in with the cello and the violin to do this classical kind of melodic stuff and have a bass that was deriving stuff a lot more. And of course, Pantheon I also was very democratic, that everyone could come with riffs, and I have made some of the weirdest riffs there and some of the most kind of normal riffs there. It was, we also spent a lot of time in the rehearsal room and just doing Pantheon. It was great fun. I sometimes wonder if it was too closed in a way, that it was a lot of fun for us doing it, but maybe not so much fun for people on the outside. That's not really for me to judge. The albums are out there, but it was a fun experience as a bass player, because I had full creative freedom to do whatever fuck I want to do, and at times maybe I shouldn't have, but I still did. And there's lots of weird parts that I have no idea what I'm doing and why I did it, but it felt right at the time. Yeah, but that was fun. That was also where I started doing vocals again. Because, of course, back here where I grew up when I was a kid, I had friends who could sing, but I was the only kid who could sound like Max Cavalera, or, make ugly sounds. So they put a microphone in my face and say, do that thing, and be the monster, and that's cool. And that kind of, as soon as I met Ravn, then I didn't do vocals, because he did the vocals, and he did them much better than me, so why the fuck would I do vocals? So I just focused on other stuff. But through Pantheon I kind of found my own voice again, and then after a while I just started doing backing vocals in 1349 as well. And yeah, after some time I realized, hey, maybe I should do, vocals, and then I had Svart Lotus. So then, but it's so different to do vocals when you're playing bass and when you're playing guitar. I mean, guitarists have the easiest fucking time of it. You can just strum shit and make, sing, while as a bass player you have to think about the timing and the rhythm and the complexities.
Oh, that's so interesting, because I find it slightly easier to do bass and vocals than guitar and vocals, because I tried to here's the thing. So I tried to do the vocals for I'm Abomination and play guitar at the same time.
Yeah.
That was not easy. And that was me just like practicing at home, trying to do it, and it's just like, that and trying to get all the vocal lines and stuff with all the chord changes and stuff. It's like I need to disconnect my throat from like my entire nervous system, trying to
very separate worlds.
Yeah, and with like the strumming stuff, it's a lot easier, I will admit. The simpler the guitar is and the simpler the rhythm is, then it's a lot easier to like focus on the voice.
Pantheon I fell apart, sadly, at some point. I moved away from Oslo in 2012, but by then the band was gone. And I can't really say what it was, but everyone Phantom, I had shitloads of other bands.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, I had so many bands at that time because I was terrible at saying no. I just said yes and wanted to be in the rehearsal room as much as humanly possible. So I think I had 5 or 6 bands going. And I don't like projects. For some reason, I need to be in bands. And this, I have done kind of guest stuff and session stuff and all. I have done, but this idea of cram 4 guys together, I think it's the spirit part of it that doesn't resonate with me in a way, because no, I don't feel this kind of the energy of people in the same room, and then I don't really get inspired in the same way. It gets a bit lackluster. And so I really like this. When I was in Tirana with the drummer and guitarist of Tudor back when they had a break, we were in the rehearsal room also constantly. But me and the Tudor guitarist, we are both we are not good with promotion. We are not good with, the business side of anything. We just want to play ugly music and be left alone. So we did an album, and then that was it, because, none of us had any kind of, we did it. It's fucking great. What now? I don't know. What now? Nah. Whatever. Yeah. It was just that album, but that was a great album. It was great fun, but that was all there is to that. And I think a lot of things have a kind of natural lifespan in a way. And this is hard for me to say, considering the fact that if you asked the me that recorded Liberation, that, in 23 more years from now, you're gonna still be doing this. I'll be like, yeah, fuck you, I'll be dead. Fuck off. Not gonna happen. I'm not gonna be an old dude with grey hair or no hair playing black metal, fuck that. But here we are, and it's I regret nothing, right? It's 1349 has consistently got better over the years, although we have of course changed. I mean, at some point we just had to change, and at some point we had to Revelations of the Black Flame, where you take 1349 and you take away everything people expect, which is the speed and the blast beats, and then you see what's left. And you give that to people, and people hate you. Well, but that's their problem. And I mean, that studio session was, I wrote, what's that song?
Serpentine. Yeah, Serpentine Sibilance, yeah.
Yeah, that was, I wrote a couple of riffs for that one.
Really, really cool.
That's actually Ravn who wrote that riff.
Which one?
Ravn wrote that.
Oh, cool.
That was him. I wrote the first and the last riff of that song, actually.
Oh. Oh. There, yeah. Cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
disharmonic again, but I love that shit.
Oh yeah, yeah. Didn't you write bits of Invocation?
Not the thing with Invocation, that's the first song, right? There's this there's a bass solo because
Yes.
I fucked up. I'm human, I fuck up, and I played the wrong note. I played, and then I was like, oh, whatever the fuck, I'm just gonna go for it. And Tom G. Horry was in the studio for that, and the mono. And I'm just, doing just weird shit. And he looks at me like, keep going, good, keep going. So, okay. Tom G. Horry says I must keep going, so then that's a jam. I played one, I made a mistake. Of course, it was a mistake within the realms of harmony. So I could have just, kept a straight face and kept going, but I was like, no, fuck it, let's solo. There's never gonna be a bass solo in Durham again, so let's do it.
Because that's one of yeah, I love the ending of the song because it kind of just melts into its own kind of thing, and I kind of wish that there was a bit more of that in 1349 actually, where it's just like that moment where the music just becomes, well, I mean, the music always is what it is, but then it's just got this little bit more of a bass focus to it, and you're kind of just like doing your thing. It's just like, yeah, you got all these like melodies, and it's just really, it's just cool as fuck. And another thing with Invocation is who decided to have the screaming at the beginning? Because I think that's one of the best ways to start an album.
That guy is no one in the band.
Yeah.
It's a Norwegian singer-songwriter who was recording in the same studio. And I can't remember why, but for some reason, like screaming into this microphone. He went for it. And he really went for it. We're like, this is fucking crazy. Like, he went for it in so many ways. So we just kept the tape rolling and he kept on screaming. And afterwards, he was like, "That was pretty cathartic." Yeah, I'm sure it was. That was something else, and it's a perfect kind of beginning for an album that it sets the tone that you're gonna go down. We're heading down into the monoir. We're just teasing you with what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and another part of Invocation, which is awesome, is just the way it kicks off. You got like such a it. It's like how you're saying about the bass player. Like all he's doing is just playing a note, but he's just using rhythm to make something so alive, and it's just groovy as shit. And then that RKO thing. Yeah, it's just that's a cool one. And then Serpentine was really cool. And then you've got Maggot Fetus, which is just that's a great live song as well.
That's fun to play live. Well, it's a bit tiresome for
Yeah, yeah. And then you got that.
that bit is a bit like, I wish we could do something else than this movement now. But it was but yeah, I mean it was risky move, I guess, career wise and all the things to do that album and to follow up Hellfire with that. I mean, I imagine the world might have looked a bit different if we followed up Hellfire with Demonoir. It would most likely have been this kind of rocket escalating. But at the time, that was what we had to do. That was what was needed for us to do. And Yeah, it's a kind of, in many ways, a halfway point in the 1349 history. If you, it is a very sharp divide between the old 1349 and kind of the
Hmm.
new 1349. Although 1349 is 1349, but I mean, Liberation, Beyond the Apocalypse, and Hellfire, they were kind of like three in a row. They were pretty quick after. I mean, in all honesty, Liberation was recorded in 2001.
Hmm.
Took a couple of years to get it out, but the others came like this, and then we
Yeah.
just okay. Here's the first three albums, the difficult ones out of the way. Let's see where we go now. And I mean, the Monoir was it was its own thing. I think it was where we kind of took the occult shit to another level, and we did. I mean, darkness is it's many things, but in this spiritual and emotional sense, Demon Noir is very loaded with this heavy darkness. The Monoir song itself is very kind of slow, but it's so heavy and it's so threatening. And I did a lot of octave displacement down on the low B string to really
Yeah.
push, and you get this kind of lumbering beast sort of effect. Because all of our Gale's riffs were kind of very high pitch, and I was like, no, let's okay, there's a B there, let's go all the way down and really keep it really dark and this threatening in a way. Because ultimately, I think for me, bass playing, if we want to talk about bass playing more than just notes, it's about a feeling and an effect and a kind of what do you want this to do for the song. Um, and I mean, there are many approaches, but sometimes there is this lyrical aspect to it where you can do kind of tension, and I wish I had some good musical theory here to back up what I'm trying to say, but it is this. In Mortem, I play with Svart, you know, the Arcturus keyboard, and he plays guitar. And he, of course, is heavily into classical music and can talk about composing in a language that makes sense. But he says this about tension and the kind of call and response and how you kind of resolve,
Hmm.
and how the bass kind of does a lot for the harmony. No matter what the guitars do, kind of the bass is what makes your brain kind of understand the harmony there, and the responsibility on the shoulders of the bass player kind of to deliver the correct harmonic content for what the song is about.
Hmm.
And sometimes that's, you know, because let's be honest, being in a band is also a bit of a pissing contest. Because particularly when you're young, you want to show off how great you are and you want to be faster and better than everyone else. But that's a young man's game, and at some point you have to be clever about it, if that makes any sense.
No, no, no. It makes perfect sense entirely because, like, we're talking about like harmonic displacement as well, where everything kind of like sits sometimes because it's that kind of opposites attract
Hmm.
kind of thing with playing as well. Because I remember in my first band, when our bass player he got a five-string bass and he was using it more, it was just like, yes, this is amazing because we can do our things in this part and then he can add this low end as well. So we had this, we've got this riff. that we used to play. And when he's doing it on the bass, like ba-bam, ba-boom, ba-bam, ba-bum, bum, ba-bam, ba-bum, ba-bum, almost like in a fieldy corn style of way, of like the kind of like percussive, like low B bass stuff going on. It just sounded so much heavier. And then like chord progressions from like an E minor to a B, for example, he's playing the E, and then it just like this super low weighted B, and it just works. And going back to Demon Noir, like you said, because in the verse riff you've got on your bass, like, dun 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 dun, boom boom, and you go down to the lower notes, and it's just
Because when I do this.
yes.
Because when I had done this, I had to, of course, take it down. Okay, I did a little melodic, so shoot me, but then let's bring the beast back so you don't. It's this call response function, as well as a bit of, you think it's going to be nice, but it's not.
Yeah, and that's what's so sick about the way you write, and like just using bass not only as just like not like as an addition, but making it more distinct in its own thing, because it just makes everything so much better. It's like more justice for bass and black metal, and I can use it properly in a way. But like going back to what you're saying about Revelations of the Black Flame, like I think it's one of those albums where if people are expecting the super hyper blast 1349, then you're no way going to get it. But if you're expecting that other side of 1349, where it's like that foreboding darkness, where it's kind of like mysterious and dismal, then it's brilliant. Like you've got that song, I think it's Misanthropy, before Uncreation comes in, with the piano, and then it kind of gets like the weird string sound at the end, and it's this. And it's kind of like reverse, and then it comes in with the distorted guitars, and I think it's done so well, and like Revelations of the Black Flame is, I think, one of the more misunderstood releases. It's not a traditional black metal album with the kind of like tremolo pick guitars and stuff, but what it does focus on is like that other side of black metal where everything's kind of just evil.
It's an atmospheric album in that sense, and I mean it reflects heavily upon our love of Twin Peaks, like the TV series Twin Peaks. I mean, and that's this Twin Peaks is very good in this how the mundane, because you dwell on the mundane for very, very long, so long that it starts to get uncomfortable, right? Yeah, and of course. I love Twin Peaks. We all do in 49. It's one of those things we have in common that if I'm ever kind of stuck writing a song or whatever, I watch some Twin Peaks, watch some stuff from the Black Lodge where they're all talking backwards and the shit's crazy, and then like, okay, guitar time.
Oh, right. Because I've never watched Twin Peaks, that's why. But I think now's the time.
Yeah, man.
Now's the time. But
you've done other stuff. No worries. Plenty of time later.
that leads me on to a question that I had. So, after Revelations of the Black Flame, you guys included the tunnels on your albums. What was the decision to add those in?
No, I mean, we explored a lot of that ambient side of things, and also live. It's we've discovered, or we've decided that it's much better if it's never totally silent. So then you have these kind of ambient tracks between the songs leading you into, so it makes a much more whole experience, not just this. It's a bunch of dudes on stage playing some songs, and in between the songs it's like, hey guys, how you doing? You having a good time? There's none of that. 1349 is totally quiet, noise, bang. and 1 hour later you're like, what the hell just happened there for 1 hour now?
Yeah.
And that's of course the intention. And so a lot of those tunnels are kind of intros to the song that can be used live as well. Um, Also to give ourselves a little bit of breathing room on stage, which is important. When you do very aggressive shit, you need to really.
Yes. Because before you guys used the tunnels, well, it was you like playing bass.
Yeah, I was playing doomy weird
Yeah.
shit
And one thing
or music actually.
because I remember like on the Demon Warrior tour you did in 2011 in the UK, one distinct thing that I remember was whenever you played the bass, the floor rumbled, and I'd never ever experienced that. And I was just like, dude, this is just sick. This is just fucking cool. I need this kind of like energy in my life, kind of thing. Like this kind of like thundering sound. And what were you using on that tour? Because it was 2011. So was that the Sanzam?
That was the Sans amp, and that was this split pedal board with the radial DI for the clean and the Sans amp for the distortion, and then blending it. Because if you have the clean, then you can route that to the subs and really feed the subs, so you get this
That's
thunderous tractor, as we call it, sound.
that's the magic. That's
Because I did a lot in Panthenai for some reason. I always did the low B.
hmm,
If I could do the low B instead of playing the 7th fret on the E, then I would drop down this to get this drop effect where your stomach would feel it. And that needs a certain bass sound, and it needs the bass to be kind of powerful and really felt. Um, Many people say, or some people say, who cares who are they, which one, and so on and so forth, but that in 1349 it's hard to hear the bass. And I usually say, well, you feel the bass, and you will definitely feel the bass if it's gone. And of course, there's a classic, why does 1349 need a bass player? And I usually say, take him away and you'll find out.
yeah.
But yeah, it's speaking of bass players and black metal though, I mentioned you from Vebuens and Ulver, all that shit, Arcturus, before, and it has to be said, without that guy, my playing, I mean, I got the Vebuens album in 96, I think, and that changed my whole kind of idea of what the bass could do in black metal. And I was like, okay, why the fuck have I been doing this when I can do all this? Because he has this melodic, kind of very lyrical way of playing,
Hmm.
and absolutely one of the greats in black metal, or in any genre, to be honest. He's absolutely one of the greats. When it comes to bass playing, black metal has, in general, a bunch of good bass players, but he's kind of unique, and that's that's good in a different level.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I agree with that entirely, especially on like the early Ulver stuff as well. It's just like yeah. It's just
He did all this melody stuff kind of on top of, and then you really feel it when he goes down and does the low stuff. Then you get that shift in the music, and I learned a lot from him. He was a bit annoying though. I mean, he's a good friend of mine and all that. But when I first met him, I was like, man, I spent so many years learning those Vebuens and the bass lines. And he looks at me, oh, that stuff. I just improvised that in the studio. I had no idea what I was playing. You fucking bastard. You bastard. That's not even funny. But he was like, no. He just did stuff, and it's amazing.
oh, that's cool as fuck, man. Because like there's something magical in spontaneity and like being spontaneous as
Mm,
well. And then some things that are unplanned just sometimes end up working so much better.
absolutely. And I mean, both, I mean, the good thing about Dev Gohil, it's easily my favorite black metal band. It's easily one of my favorite bands. But it is everyone involved in that band is brilliant. Like, next level fucking brilliant. I mean, when I started playing guitar some years ago, one of my goals, I have to figure out how to play Traces of Reality by the Dev Gohil because that riff is genius.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The genius, and that riff is fucking genius. I still haven't figured it out like 100%, and but that's so amazing. And I
oh
mean,
yeah.
Black Medium Current, that album, easily the best album of 2023. Easily the best album of a decade. That was so good. That was this weird homecoming to the 90s. Everyone, all of my, everyone I talked about that, like, yeah, that was like, it just took us back to the 90s. And, no, so, I mean, yeah, fantastic guy. And I mean, of course, good old Kalle,
Mm.
the head drums, and who plays, well, he plays everything. He's one of those guys. Such an amazing musician, good vocalist, good drummer, good guitarist, good bass player. All these kind of amazing guys, they just get together at some point in time and they do this amazing thing and then gone. Who knows if, I mean, they have been talking about doing another album, but who knows? I don't think that's gonna happen, to be honest. I think it's gonna be that one album and that's gonna be perfect. And
Mm.
that's
I think sometimes that's okay as well because if you try to because if you've got something that's so iconic, it's very hard to follow up with something else. And
mm,
then if you do try to do something, it kind of it's the remake thing. I don't know if you've seen this lately in like video games especially. Like you've got like Resident Evil 2 had its remake, Resident Evil 3 had it wasn't really a remake, it was a reimagining. And
mm.
you got like the Final Fantasy 7 stuff as well, and you've had like Doom come back. The Doom one was really good. Um,
I
Doom,
I didn't try. I mean, I'm too old now for things that require a lot of coordination and quick reactions. I'm too old for
oh,
action.
okay, okay, and but the
I played the original Doom, of course, back in the day.
yeah, great game. I still prefer it. I still prefer it, man. I used to play like a shit ton of Doom 2, and the reason why I like Doom 2 a lot more than Doom 1 is because you can use the double barrel shotgun.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed Doom 3 as well. The kind of reimagined, a bit more horror. I like that. It had this Lovecraftian vibe that,
Hmm.
for a man full of Cthulhu tattoos, that made a lot of sense, of course.
Gotcha, because I was way too young when I played. I mean, I was like 10 or 12 and I just couldn't figure the game out at the time. Whereas with like the other Dooms, they were just that little bit more approachable. But even Quake, like
Mm.
Quake was that like the first Quake, like that used to scare the shit out of me as a kid. But now like that's as a game that's better than Doom, dare I say, just because it's so creepy
Mm.
in a
Yeah.
way. But yeah, like, but going back to the remake thing, it's like you have the original, and the original is its own thing. And if you try and recreate the original, or if there's something that's so iconic, you try to follow up, it just kind of makes things a little bit different or weird. Or if you try to, or if you have the thing, and then someone tries to change a little part of it or the story, then it just doesn't have that same impact that the original thing had. I think media video games, CDs, music, all that stuff are all a result of time. They're all like a thing of its era,
Yeah.
and some things can only be sometimes some things can only be understood in their era, and but even now, people can still understand how important some things are.
I think for me, for instance, Venom is a band that a lot of people love in my genre,
Hmm.
but I didn't hear Venom until I was, 16. And then I was like, but these are, very crappy musicians playing joke songs about Satan.
Hmm.
This doesn't give me anything kind of. And of course, later when I look at it in context, in the year is 1982, and the hardest thing you've heard is Motorhead, yeah, then Venom is the logical next step.
Yeah.
And then it makes sense, but that train kind of went for me in the same way with Kiss.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Kiss, but yeah, it's an okay disco band, and then it's a cash cow kind of thing. And yeah, they have the paint and all that stuff, but I know it never hits me. And I guess it feels dated, but they have also created something that will last now with hologram technology, whatever. They will last forever, and can kind of survive out of context to a certain degree. 1349 will not. You have to see us and where we come from and what time we show up and all that stuff, because if you 100 years from now pick up Liberation and put it in your CD player or whatever player you have, most likely, what's wrong with this thing? Why is it so?
Yeah. No, yeah, I get that as well because I never got into Venom myself. I never got into Kiss either. But do you know what? I'll say from like the 80s, the bands that I really got into was, well, only Mayhem and Iron Maiden, really, like the ones that I really, really got into. Because I used to listen to a shit ton of Iron Maiden. Like learning Iron Maiden songs like "Hallowed Be Thy Name" really escalated my guitar playing as well. And I had a couple Slayer albums, and but it just didn't connect with me the same way that Iron Maiden did or Mayhem did. So no, it's really curious how these things kind of happen. But of course, it's all down to like everyone's got their own style and everyone's got their own tastes and things as well. So I never blame anyone for not liking something um, or
That's
anything. And
that's pointless. Basically, people like what they like, and there's no point in trying to convince anybody that's Christianity, and we have no need for that. I mean, we all come from everything does different things. I mean, the beauty of music is that it speaks to the heart without going through the brain first.
hmm,
So, so I can't explain or help the fact that distorted guitars, double bass drums, and screaming vocals do something to my heart that is joyful and good. While to other people it's like, what the fuck is that noise? Right? But they can't help it, I can't help it. Um, I'm a product of many things. You mentioned computer games, so I'm gonna bring out my acoustic.
oh yeah, go ahead.
The single most important thing for all my songwriting in Svart Lotus, if I can do it.
Yeah.
Opening notes to Tristram in Diablo.
Yeah.
That 12 string, those notes like that's it.
Yeah.
That sums it up.
It's just something the way the I don't know, man. There's something the way that the guitar sounds and just having that kind of evilness where something's kind of like grim, but then it gets grimmer. It's just the best.
The half step, the kind of dissonance,
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
half step
Yeah.
in right tone is like, okay, yeah, no, that's all you need. You don't need fuss. You just need the right notes and the right mood.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Because I find that different keys have different kind of feelings as well. Like if I'm playing, riffs in F sharp minor, for example, it feels a lot more triumphant than opposed to playing in E. But then if you play something in E, sometimes moving it to C makes it a lot more grimmer as well. And I think different tunings really help give off certain moods as well, because I find E standard to be quite cold, but then like the more kind of like emotional style of riffs I find work really nicely in D standard as well. And what was that spinal tap? It was like D minor, the saddest key, makes everyone cry, something like that. And I don't know, man. Like D minor just does that. Just makes things a little bit more sad, but it's also really brutal at the same time. So it's quite versatile. But yeah, like the sound of certain notes is an interesting one, because I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and this is going back to like feeling and atmospheres, like in black metal, and he was saying like black metal needs to have a feeling and an atmosphere. But then I was thinking, and like almost challenging him in a way. It's like, but what is the black metal feeling? What is the black metal atmosphere? And then we both ended up thinking like the only way we're really going to figure this out is if we get like brain scans of people and like wavelengths and stuff, and see like certain hertz cause like different shapes and patterns, and if that resonates with someone in a certain way. And I don't know. I think that could be a very, very interesting study, which is like the effects and, well, the true scientific understandings of feeling and atmosphere in black metal and extreme music. Kind of like really kind of figure it out. But
I find that actually nature in black metal is part of the I mean Innova Satana by Emperor.
yeah,
You forget that the Judas Priest rip-off drum intro, but when it kind of
yeah,
and then you imagine the snow, the forest, the mountains, and it's all there in the music. That is black metal. I had this conversation with Marg of Tudor. He lives not so far away from here, luckily. And we were like, what is the kind of quintessential, difficult word for a non-native English speaker there, black metal kind of landscape? I'm like, no, but it has to be snow, forest, mountains. Yeah, that's all you need for black metal. But if it's not there, then it feels different immediately. I hear a lot of there's this one, Wolves in the Throne Room, for instance. When I listen, I haven't listened to them in a long time, but there was this Two Hunters album with The Vastness and the Sorrow. That was a very good song. And when I listened to that, I got this forest feeling. I can't describe, but I got this forest feeling. And then I listened to something else, and I was like, yeah, but this sounds like concrete. This sounds like city. This sounds like, it doesn't give me the nature that should be there for it to be black metal. And it makes most likely no sense in a logical way, but it's the same with folk music also. Unsurprisingly, I love throat singing, and I have been. That's one of the things I learned and was exposed to when I studied folk music, was exactly that. And I've been lucky enough to collaborate with some people from Mongolia and further in that are very good at this, and they always say that no, but it's about the landscape. You can sing as low as you fucking want to, but that is mountain. So unless you think mountain and all, there's not gonna be anything there. It's just gonna be some dude rumbling and croaking all he can, but there's no mountain there. And then it's not Karira. And that made sense to me in very many ways, and it's the same for me with black metal, is that there is this landscape. Doesn't necessarily have to be a physical landscape, it can be a landscape of the soul, but it still has to be there.
That's really, really interesting because that things are just a lot more clear now because it makes you think of like good black metal makes you think of pictures in a
Mm.
way. It makes you think of things because I was chatting to Tobias of Dark Space and Paysage de Verre, and he was saying that with Paysage de Verre, especially, it's all about like pictures and a cold landscape and a wonder in the cold landscape and taking the listener on this kind of journey and stuff. And with Dark Space, it's like the emptiness and the nothingness of space and like you're in the spaceship kind of thing. And that just really really cleared things up. Like black metal, good black metal makes you think of pictures
Mm.
and the atmosphere is part of the picture because the music makes you think of a landscape,
Mm.
makes you think of something more,
Mm.
and that kind of really makes sense now because with well, if we take Hellfire for example, you've got like the pictures of just world chaos, like a meteor hitting the earth or something like that,
Mm.
something very very you know brimstone and ash.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is Hellfire, that album.
yeah.
Very, very much so. Kind of the song itself has this kind of sadness and also this oppressive feeling to it. That's it is it's it is it is a almost spiritual thing. It's weird to talk about that, and 20-year-old me would not have been talking about that anyway, but we allow ourselves stuff when we upgrade.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and it's no, it's super cool. Like that's kind of just made like so many things in my head just click, and it's just like everything makes sense now in a way. Going back to 1349, when's the new album?
Um, I don't really know if I'm supposed to say this yet, so but this year, absolutely.
Oh, excellent, excellent, and
There will be a single long before that, so no worries.
okay, cool. I'm not gonna ask too many questions then because I want the surprise.
Yeah, you'll get some surprises. No worries. It was one very rough Saturday in December that I did all the bass for that, and but it has the spirit. The spirit is very much there.
Okay, excellent, excellent. No, that's perfect. No, no, because that's the thing. I don't want any spoilers. That's why. And
You're gonna enjoy it. I think it's 1349 in good form.
excellent, good. That's all I can ask for because yeah, it's been like 5 years since the Infernal Pathway. It'll be 5 years this year,
Yeah.
and I remember listening to the Infernal Pathway, and there's so much more now in 1349's writing, so especially on that album because there's like, with Dodskamp, for example, we're talking about like this kind of Jimi Hendrix kind of like style of intro. And this new album, how much have you contributed to the writing?
I wrote. There's one song that I contributed. Is it three riffs or something? I did no lyrics this time around. The thing here is that since 2000, well, since let's say 2019 to 2020, I was very deep in the Svart Lotus album. And then COVID happened, and because I have demos on my computer of that Svart Lotus album from 2020, when it's 10 songs and it's ready. And then I have demos from 2021 when it's 10 songs and it's ready, but it's not the same. And then I have studio recordings from 2021 where it's 8 songs and they're not quite ready. And then we have the album out now where it's 7 songs and an intro. And I went so deep into that album that a lot of other things kind of just passed me by. And I mean, also I was stuck kind of, I lived 3 hours away from Oslo, so during COVID, I think it was 1 year I didn't see the other guys in the 3049. Like we were apart for, it was only contact by email and whatever. And yeah, no, we didn't see each other. We didn't think COVID kind of everything slowed down. Everything went quiet, and I sat here and did my own shit and wrote and rewrote and re-recorded and did the whole Svart Lotus album to the death. So it was a very, very big relief to kind of let that album out into the world now and kind of, I mean, it was done kind of more or less just done right before we started the new 1349 album, so I kind of had time to jump in and get some riffs going. But yeah, it was a process. So, but Archeon is doing his thing and is doing it well, so it's
Excellent. I'm really, really excited to hear new 1349. I'm always excited to hear fucking new 1349. No, that's great. And are you guys planning on any? You guys planning on any UK shows?
the thing is we're going to the US in May now, and then there's some festivals in the summer. We're going to do Europe in the fall. So the UK is most likely going to be in next year then, because of you guys with the Brexit and everything. So we need visas and stuff to get there, and so that makes the process a little bit. I mean, usually if we were doing Europe, we would, pop by, but now it's a bit more of a process. But we enjoy playing the UK, so we'll definitely come back.
Oh, for sure. Like I've been at every single London 1349 show since 2011 anyway. You know what, we actually played Incineration Festival 2017 together.
All right, nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
no, that was
I remember that happening, but
what's that?
I vaguely remember playing Incineration Fest, but to be
Oh,
honest,
that was
I
the one.
play a lot of festivals, so they all blend together. But I remember being at that festival.
Gotcha. 'Cause, I remember you got Sectum on second guitars for that as well, and
Was that time? Yeah, okay, yeah, no.
yeah, no,
Yes.
that was a really cool show. And then there was the next show you did in London, which was the Islington Academy just before lockdown.
Yeah, with was that the
How about
emo?
the tour?
No, Abbott, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was oh god, that was such an amazing show, man. Like just after Infernal Pathway came out, and it was just oh yeah, man, it just hit the spot.
We were in good shape, and yeah, that was a good tour actually with Ultimas and South American buddies. Oh, Nuclear, of course.
Yeah, that's the one.
Great guys playing proper, proper South American trash.
Yeah, and every band on the bill was
Yeah,
wicked.
I mean, it was so about this was he was in proper shape.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was amazing when you finished off with Abyssos and Antithesis. Just that ending is just so cool. Just yeah, man.
Yeah, that's it's a good song to end kind of a show with because it kind of it escalates and then it winds down.
Hmm.
This nice ending, and then and then of course the outro, which is the woman in the radiator singing from David Lynch's Eraserhead. David Lynch has meant a lot for 1349 in many, many ways. We, the dream is, of course, if that guy would make a music video for us, that would never happen, of course, but if it would, well, that would most likely be.
Yeah, David Lynch, if you're watching, fucking make a video for 1349.
Yeah, sure. Hey, man, we're up. We're poor Norwegians, but we're up. No worries.
Going back to like ending shows, Atomic Chapel. Why is it that you guys play that at the end? Because it's at the beginning of the part.
It has to do with the set as a whole. Not usually it's one of the only songs we play from Demo Noir. It is. You need to be ready for Atomic Chapel because there's a lot of really crazy shit happening in that song where it escalates. You kind of get to warm up during the long, slow nodding your head parts, and then it kind of explodes into craziness, and then it's just the never-ending blast that is the ending. So it is a song that needs to be late in the set. You can't open with that shit.
I see. Is there any 1349 song where all of you guys are like, shit, what if we add this in the set, we're just literally just gonna die?
No, not on its own, but there's combinations, right? That's if we did Celestial Deconstruction when I was Flesh and stuff like that back to back, that would literally kill us all. Yes, I mean we do or we have been doing lately. Have we opened with Sculptor? We go straight into Slaves and then through Ice of Stone as a kind of triple crash treat.
Yeah.
And that works, but it wakes you up, and then you can do something a bit.
For sure. There was so when speaking to Shalva, he mentioned that you really like Necrohatalanetum as a song. Why is it that you enjoyed that one more specifically to play, like back in the day?
Well, I wrote that one again. It's me and Archeon, but I wrote most of the riffs on that one, and I wrote the lyrics of that one, and it has one of the things I like doing a lot for some reason when I play guitar, which is bending.
And with the bend riff,
It's a D and D sharp, I guess.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
Yeah.
I used that in Sommet Vondt År. There's this.
Yeah.
So I like bending. It's
And then there's also the in Satanic.
yep. I like bending the G.
Yeah, it's just that kind of like rock and roll flash kind of thing.
It's the blues. It's needed.
Would you guys bring back Satanic Propaganda for the live set?
Yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah.
You should. I mean, actually, it's more than 20 years since Liberation now, so we can't do the Liberation thingy. I mean, it's 20 years since Beyond the Apocalypse now, so maybe we should do that. But
Yeah.
it's 20 years since Hellfire, so maybe we should do that. But
Yeah, because I know that people will enjoy Satanic Propaganda live. Evil Oath, Legion. Riders is always a great live song.
That's
Riders has my favorite riff ever, and it's a Shalva riff, and it's the end riff, the fucking end riff, and it's just yes.
yeah, no, it's good.
And I remember listening to the demo, and that riff was in there as well, and I was like, ah, because he was saying like you guys basically had your first two demos and tore them apart and used some of the riffs for Liberation.
Yeah,
But yeah, respect to that. I think those would be cool. From Beyond the Apocalypse, um, singer of strange songs,
yeah.
Infernal Winter.
Yeah, I don't think we have ever played singer. We have played. That's a good song to play live. Internal Wind. I don't even think we have ever played that live.
That's a great one.
Yeah, no, that is a good one. We have this jam part towards the end where it's we trade solos. All of
Oh
us
yeah,
gonna be noodling, all the
yeah,
guitars and the bass, and everyone is just you know.
yeah,
And of course, The Blade is also one of that song is so old. I mean,
yeah. That was like the jam song. Dun, 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 dun. Bam, bam. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's we've been jamming that song for forever.
Mm. And
It's the oldest 1349 song there is. It's that song.
yeah, it's a nice one. It's a nice one. And I guess from Hellfire, like I haven't heard you guys play Celestial Deconstruction live, so I would like that as well. Slaves to Slaughter as
Mm.
well. That would be a cool one.
Yeah, yeah, no, we have played.
Corruption Bomb as well, because
Yeah,
that's one of those like big fuck you kind of endings. This madness, all
yeah,
of that, the hyper block.
that's that's. No, we have played all those songs live. We did back in 2015. We did this anniversary 10-year gig where we played the whole thing. Where I realized we had never played From the Deeps live, and I had to remember how that song went. That was oh,
Yeah, I wish I was there for the Hellfire 10th anniversary, but
well, next year it's 20, so then we'll see what happens then.
please. Mortem has Hellhammer on drums and 1349 has Frost on drums. So what's the difference between playing with both drummers?
Um, yeah, man. There's so many differences, and the similarities is that they are both ridiculously good drummers. Um, so they're both ridiculously good drummers. They're both. You just kind of have to hang on and just be there and shape up, get your shit going, and just get along with them. I mean, in terms of differences, I mean, Frost does the thing where it's blasting for minutes straight without any markings or anything, so you just have to dig in and hope for the best. While Hellhammer is a bit more all over the place, very technical, very not always remembering what was going on the last time he did that. Very innovative, you can say, in many ways. Just because he played something last time doesn't necessarily mean that will be the thing he'll be playing now. So both kind of keep you on your toes in different ways. Of course, live with Mortem, we haven't had Hellhammer for a while. we used the Svart Lotus drummer in these days for live shows because Hammer is of course busy with everything else.
Okay.
Then I said I have a drummer I trust with my life and my playing, so I'm gonna bring him in. And if you if you guys don't believe me, give me one rehearsal, and that's all that was needed. So.
Yeah, because the Svart Lotus drummer is bloody good.
Yes,
Bloody good.
everyone in that band are. I mean, it's. I started Svart Lotus, just me and the 12-string acoustic guitar, do Diablo music. And then I met that drummer kid by chance, and then I was like, okay, I need to do a band. And then he had this bass player from his other band, and well, bring him along. And then I had this guitarist who's a technical wonder. So all the guys in Svart Lotus are very, very good, and that's a blessing in a way, because I can then be the guy who comes with all the ideas and comes with the not always perfectly rehearsed stuff, and then together as a band they make me better, right? As I said earlier, that I don't play the bass in Svart Lotus. I don't even make bass lines in Svart Lotus. I trust that he will do what's needed, and he always does. He makes cool bass lines. And I keep on making guitars that will kind of inspire him to make cool bass lines, to give room for the bass. Remember that, guitarists out there, you can give room for your bass player, and he might surprise you doing interesting stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just thing out there.
100%. And are there going to be any live Svart Lotus shows?
Oh yes, I would very much like that to happen. It's just that right now 3049 is doing a lot, but again, people out there, if you want Svart Lotus, you just let us know, and we want to play, and we rehearse, and we do good live shows. I mean, I take a certain pride in. We have played a lot of shows in Norway. We unfortunately haven't really played outside of Norway yet, which is sad. Because Norway is, after all, Norway. It's not. Despite all the black metal bands, it's not really a place for black metal bands to play live. It's. We have done a lot of gigs here to very good kind of receptions, and we really have this. Svart Lotus live is ridiculously much more aggressive than the albums are kind of thoughtful affair with a lot of layers, and I can't of course do all the guitar voices and the harmonies and all the EBO stuff, and so we up the aggression a bit more, and it's again this progressive word that I don't like to throw around so much, but there's stuff happening, and we have fun, and it shines through, and it's a bit, I get to do me, and that was this. I mean, I've been playing live for many years. And first I was going to play live with Svart Lotus, I was insanely nervous. And I was sitting kind of backstage before the show, like, what is this feeling? Because I couldn't remember last time I had that feeling. With 1349, you spend an hour getting the painful and getting the get upon, getting into destroy everything mode, so there's no room for being nervous or thinking about anything. You just go out there and do your thing. But here it was like, oh, it's going to be this mug. People are going to look at now, and that was a very. To begin with, it was a very difficult feeling, but as I kind of rose to the occasion, it really. it really felt good, and it really made me want to do much more of that. So with Svart Lotus, I would like to play live as much as humanly possible, because it gives me a chance to express something else and do something else. I mean, it is it is a very different side of me than 1349, of course, but it is still something that I've grown very comfortable in expressing, and it gets other sides of me out than just this ridiculous aggression side that gets out in 1349. There's a bit more room for the introspective and the melodic and yeah, the beautiful, to be a bit pompous about it. There's so much more in Svart Lotus in a way, because it's a full spectrum sort of thing. I can do weird. I can listen to Cool and the Gang for weeks and then suddenly, oh, I have this riff. It's funky. Let's turn that into a black metal song. And my bandmates were hating me easily for a year for that riff, but now that it's there and the song is there, they're like, that's a fucking great song. I'm like, yeah, it is, but let's see if I can get the song out there doing this. That riff.
Oh, I recognize it. So bouncy. What album is that from again?
That's Cryptic Light from the latest Svart Lotus, from Sommet Vontor.
Gotcha.
Next to the last song, the one that starts. A little bit of disharmony and all.
Yeah.
It's the death metal song on that album that for some reason turns into a funk song at the end.
No, I love that shit though. I love having songs that just have that moment where it kind of just changes completely. I guess like Ascending by Pantheon Eye is an example, because you've got this like you've got this really beautiful intro, and then it gets like all evil, and then it fades into like the beautiful again. But it makes the beautiful parts make the evil bits more evil, and then in that situation you've got like the riffy bits feel more riffy because you've got the funky bits.
Yeah, no, it's the contrast.
That's it, yeah. The contrast, and if we take, I guess, Towers Upon Towers could be an example in terms of like the riff style, because you've got this single picked note, and then in the middle of the song you've got like one of the bounciest and grooviest riffs ever. Yeah. And it just makes the groovy bits more groovy, and then you've got the that foreboding riff. All the good stuff. Are you gonna be playing Towers any live shows soon?
Who knows? It's not on the set list for the US, as far as I know. The thing about Infernal Pathway is that COVID kind of did a number on that one. So I mean, by the time we go out again, then it's going to be a new album. So who knows if Towers? I mean, usually every song sneaks its way into the set list at some point sooner or later, but. Usually it's from that it's Dödskamp, of course, Stand Tall in Fire we have played live, Abyssos, of course, Rise of Stone,
and
And
the other one, Striding the Chasm.
of course, that's of course a good one to play live.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many songs. It's 8 albums soon, 8 albums. So I mean,
Oh, it's great. It's great.
when you're having fun, man. That's the thing. There's going to be a live album
Oh, wicked.
because we did record this, or if it's going to be a live. I guess people don't do DVDs anymore, so it's Blu-ray or whatever else it is now. Because we did a show in Oslo that was filmed in its entirety, and I think we're releasing that.
Epic.
I'm not 100% sure when and how and what and all that, but that's gonna happen, yeah.
No, because I've got your first DVD,
Helvetia Fire.
Helvetia, that's the one with your 2005 show.
Yeah.
That's it's so raw. It's so mean. It's so mean. And I remember now, there was going to be a question about Doddskamp because you wrote the lyrics for that, didn't you?
Yeah, me and Archeon. The thing was that the Monk project thing happened, and they asked us. And soon, the second I heard, oh, we're gonna do a Monk song, then I started writing lyrics. And before I had seen the painting, most of my part of the lyrics were done. Because just by thinking about Monk and this automatic writing sort of thing. And then Archeon and me went to the museum to see Dødskamp. And then the rest kind of came to me, and then Archeon had written the kind of chorus parts. And then he sent me his parts, and I sent him my parts, and then we kind of just this this is how that song must be. And that's I'm very, very, very happy with that. It has this bit atypical 1349 vibe with the folky Henrik's glam bits, but also this very strict chugging.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see this.
And the yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good and then the escalation blast beat parts after that, so of course yeah, no man, that's
Great song. It's just got so much heart, so much like soul in that song. It's so alive in a way.
yeah, no, it really has this you know, I think Archeon was very inspired by this by the painting, because it is a very powerful painting, and I mean it is there's so much expression in it, in very small, very I mean a lot of the faces are, you don't really see any expressions, but the kind of the postures and it is very strong, very powerful, and when you see it, it's massive. The painting itself is massive, so when you see it, you're like, okay, that's some proper art. So yeah, that was cool. It was fun to do something like that as a kind of. It felt for a second like some sort of recognition from the Norwegian state that, hey, maybe you Satan worshippers can be used for something.
So who did the Svart Lotus logo?
Oh, let's see if I can get the camera going there. Here is the original made by my buddy Danny Larsen, who is a Norwegian artist. I was in a groove metal, is what the kids call it, band called Dead Trooper for a little while. And they went to school with Danny. He used to be a professional snowboarder. And we were drinking and having fun, and we got along really well. And he had a atelier studio kind of very close to where 3049 rehearsed. So I will usually, when I went to Oslo, I would drop by and have a cup of coffee with him at his studio. And that's kind of when I saw one of his drawings. This that's the cover of the Svart Lotus EP. That when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, this makes things clear. And like, can I use this for something? And he's like, yeah, sure, buddy, you can use that. And then later when I think the band is going to be called Svart Lotus, and he's like, oh yeah, no, I'll fix the logo. I got you, buddy. And as you see, it's a lotus flower, right? But he said that I know you, so if you flip it around, Tulu.
That's beautiful. No, because it's such a well done logo.
Oh yeah,
Just glorious.
it's fantastic, and I'm so happy about that logo. I had to go get it tattooed on my hand as soon as I could, And he's such. I mean, he did for Stemmer for Dypet, the first album, Fra Dypet, actually. I asked him, can you do? Yeah, sure. Like, do you want to hear the album? Nah, I know you. And then when the album says, yeah, here it is. I was like, it's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
But when the time came around for this new album, then unfortunately I couldn't afford his services anymore. He's a very successful artist. So, and money speaking, I'm not, so I couldn't afford any of his artwork anymore, unfortunately. But luckily, I had a different cover in mind.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, the way this new album went with Svart Lotus, because I saw the cover photo, which is from some old 1920s black and white movie called Dr. Mabuse der Spieler, which is a 4-hour, very artistic black and white movie. It's a bit rough to get through, but it's worth it. But I saw that photo and I was like, this is perfect for an album cover, but it needs to be some doomy, gloomy shit. And at the moment, Svart Lotus wasn't that. But by the time the album was done, I'm like, yeah, but now this is the perfect cover. Let's go.
Yeah, it works because it's got this kind of like evil dealings kind of vibe, and it just works for the music.
Yeah, no, it's really happy about it. It is really this weird, strange, a bit occult, a bit goofy, but serious kind of. It works. It has this feeling to it that the whole album has, which wasn't necessarily there when I started writing it, but was the end result, is that it is this very doomy album in many ways. It has this a bit downtrodden alienation vibe to it, that it's a bit strange. It's not totally off this world, which is how I feel quite often. So
No, I get you. No, that's all good. And the last question is, what advice do you have for musicians nowadays and people who want to pick up bass?
those are two a bit different questions. Well, but for musicians, I'm not the right guy to give advice, because, well, I can give general advice like practice, learn your stuff. It's 2024, so we could get away with not being very great musicians back in the 90s because we were, we were doing something relatively new and being shit at something you could still get away with the feeling, and then we got better as time progressed, but now things are different. You have to have your shit in order because the competition is much steeper. But don't forget the feeling. I think I've said this many times during the interview, that the feeling, you have to have the feeling and the identity. Think about what you can offer. What is inside you, and that's what needs to come out. Don't think too much about what's that guy doing, what's that guy doing, what this old grey beard on YouTube telling me. Think about what's inside here, and particularly in the heart, and try to, yeah, of course, every day of your career you have to sit there and you have to do the scales, you have to learn to do the motions, do all that shit. But however many times you play it's not gonna mean anything unless you put your heart in it and you put your feelings in it, so it becomes something more than just like that. So suddenly it's something more than just a scale, right? It's put your heart in there. That's gonna make it better to listen to for everyone.
Yeah.
I think that's that's the best advice I can give. Oh yeah, never give up, never care and give a shit about what other people say. Who cares? You have to do what's right for you. Follow that thing inside here and just go for it. But practice. Hang in the garage and suck with and practice until it's great. Always play with people. Don't be afraid of playing with people. Don't be afraid of playing stuff that's a bit outside your comfort zone. Don't be afraid of playing something you don't necessarily like, or something that's kind of... Everything is practice in a way, all sorts of music, even if you're never gonna want to play, tango or whatever, but if you know how to play it, you're not losing anything.